Hi, everyone. So nice to see all of you here today. So given that we started the session just now, we'll allow a couple of minutes for everybody else to join in. But it's nice to see that a lot of the members are joining in on time. Our speakers are also ready today, and it's a very powerful session that we've planned for all of you. You'll see the power of all the women coming together. So, like I said, we'll start the session in around 3 to 4 minutes. But in the meanwhile, while everybody else joins in, I'd invite all of you to start using the chat box to introduce yourself, tell us about what you deal in, what your business is about. And we will also have a short Q&A session towards the end of this webinar, such that if anybody wants to ask any questions to any of our panelists here today, you could do that. One thing to keep in mind is that please do use the Q&A section to ask any question to the panelists, but talk to each other and to us using the chat box. So usually the questions get missed out if they're in the flow of the messages that come in the chat section. So I can see people have started introducing themselves. So nice to meet all of you here again. We'll start in about 3 minutes, but in the meanwhile, let me tell you a little about GlobalLinker and the reason for having this webinar as well. So GlobalLinker, as most of you are already aware, is a business networking solution that connects SMEs globally. And this community has over 4 lakh plus businesses on the platform. They're interacting with each other. People are talking about how do I source new raw material? Where do I find distributors? They're actually appointing agents. They're applying for awards. They're talking about their new product launches, their achievements. So think of it as just like the way you use Facebook for, let's say, social networking and LinkedIn for professional networking. GlobalLinker is for business networking. And there's a lot of activity happening on the platform already. So I'm inviting all of you to also join that activity and share it. Hi, Deepthi. Okay, so GlobalLinker is actually a free solution, which is easy to join and enroll, but it's a very quick to implement for SMEs. And the reason to make it is the idea is to help businesses make their journey a little more profitable and enjoyable, but in the same time, simpler as well. And the reason we are creating this kind of a series is basically what we call it as a growth talk series. Now, GlobalLinker Growth Talk actually is bringing forces of the industry together. So there are various industry specialists that are brought onto one platform, domain experts, so that they can share practical knowledge with our growing community. We've done a lot of sessions, expert sessions in various domains in the past, ranging from decoding the union budget to actually, is your startup investor ready, or digital marketing for SMEs, and more such topics. But today it's about very powerful forces coming together. Our session is actually called DigitALL, which is digital innovation and business growth for all. Now, I think we are 1 minute away. We have a lot of participants already, but let me kind of introduce our panelists today. And the way we'll do this session is we'll have it as an interactive session. It'll be a two-way communication where I'm kind of asking all the panelists a question that actually has been given by some of y'all in the audience today. And let's hear their thoughts around it. But let me start off by introducing Deepthi Ravula. Deepthi is the CEO of VHub. VHub is a government of Telangana initiative, which actually fosters women entrepreneurship. And Deepthi personally has a very strong digital background. She's worked at Nokia, she's worked at Palming and Lightpoint. In 2018, Deepthi was appointed as the CEO of VHub, a state-led incubator for women entrepreneurs with a mandate to actually eliminate financial and societal barriers while assisting them to succeed in their enterprises. So welcome, Deepthi. It'll be nice if you can raise your hand for all the members. Great. Next, we have Khyati Naravane, CEO of the Federation of Telangana Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and a dear friend as well. Khyati has over 20 years of professional experience with the trade and industry sector. As the CEO, Khyati is responsible for the overall development of the chamber. Under her leadership, FTCCI, as we all know it, has undertaken various initiatives and programs that are aimed at promoting MSMEs and exporters at large. So she happens to be a woman at that leadership role, not that it's a woman-centric organization. So hi, Khyati. Great. Next, we'll move on to Rashmi Pimpale. She is the CEO at RICH. RICH is Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. RICH is the nodal agency for the Hyderabad Science and Technology Cluster, doing amazing work. The organization actually fosters collaboration between research and academic institutions, the industry leaders, entrepreneurs, startups, NGOs, and the civic society for an effective innovation ecosystem. So welcome on board, Rashmi. Great. And we have Srimati Rama Devi, who is the founder and president of Association of Lady Entrepreneurs of India. She's having some issues with the video, but she'll be rejoining again in about 2 to 3 minutes. ALEAP, which is Association of Lady Entrepreneurs of India, was established as a non-profit organization in the year 1993. She's shouldered various responsibilities for the development of the organization and the upliftment of women entrepreneurs. She was a member of the high-level task force for MSME constituted by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. And I'm Malvika Jaggi, director at GlobalLinker. What we do at GlobalLinker, like I've already told all of you, is basically connecting all businesses on the platform. And in that journey, there are a lot of tools and capabilities that the businesses are offered, which helps them make their journey a little more easier. So the goal of this session is to really identify various practical insights for entrepreneurs so that they can leverage digital innovation and access ecosystems that nurtures business growth. And to be honest, Women's Day is not just about a particular day. It's really a starting point to keep the growth momentum going. And therefore, we've intentionally planned it not on 8th of March, but today. So I think we'll now get started. And the first question that I'd like to ask is, Khyati, if you can possibly go first, if you can share an example of how digital innovation can help a woman entrepreneur in their business. How do they really take off from there and grow?
Okay. So good afternoon to everyone and all the friends I can see here, Deepthi and happy Women's Day belated, Rashmi, and of course Miss Rama Devi is still to join. I don't see her, but a very warm welcome to all of you. My question to all of you is digital innovation gender agnostic? You know, it is for all. Basically, it is for men, for women. But having said that, we've seen in our personal experience, in our professional experience, that the digital literacy, I would say, really empowers them. You know, let's take a simple example. If they can automate a lot of work, like, you know, digitalization of sales, digitalization of revenue, of marketing, any activity as an entrepreneur that you take up, and if they can digitally automate themselves, I think it helps them. So the gender has nothing to do with it, but then as the women, we all need to spend much more time at home, at, you know, it's not just office for us. So it definitely empowers us. It helps women, I think, entrepreneurs to take off their business. And of course, these days we see a lot of campaigning on social media, you know, the kind of products or the services that every women entrepreneur they are selling, I think has really helped them to earn better, I think, market or position their product much more in the you know, market, not restricting it to the place that they belong to, but it could be all across India or globe. So we've seen that, of course, social media, e-commerce, all this has picked up, which has enabled women entrepreneurs to grow. But I still feel that digital innovation is, you know, absolutely gender agnostic. So, you know, whether it's anybody on the other side. I think the literacy helps. So that's my take.
Absolutely, Khyati. I think you mentioned a very important point on the aspect that digitization, whether in the field of marketing, sales, there are various functions that we all go through in our business journey. And at every stage, in fact, even at GlobalLinker, the goal is whether you're a B2C, B2B, no matter what type of a business you are, there are tools out there for you to digitize your business. And we're encouraging all members to make use of that so that they can actually improve their efficiency. So thank you on that, Khyati. Rashmi, would you like to take a take on that one? Maybe an example of how you think digital innovation can help a woman entrepreneur in taking off their business.
Sure, Malvika. Good afternoon to everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to be on this panel. Thank you, GlobalLinker and Malvika, for inviting me. To your question, I think, like Khyati mentioned, in India, digital innovation has revolutionized the business landscape for everybody, not just women entrepreneurs. It has provided them new opportunities to start and grow their businesses. I think in India, women entrepreneurs are leveraging digital platforms to the hilt. It could be e-commerce, it could be online marketplaces, it could even be social media platforms to sell their products online. And what these kind of platforms provide is, low starting up costs. It could be easy setting up. It could be marketing tools. It could be customer data acquisition. And most importantly, access to a wide number of audience. I think numerous women entrepreneurs have utilized these platforms to showcase their goods. And we've seen categories like jewelry, home decor, handicrafts, garments, and a lot more. What we have seen in our experience at Rich, I think one of the most important sector that is getting a complete makeover due to digital innovation is the health sector. I mean, look at the number of startups that are coming up in the health tech sector. We at Rich run a cohort. It's a flagship program for medtech innovators. And it is really heartening to see so many women entrepreneurs and founders venturing into this area and using their expertise to create a lot of good social impact. So I think all in all, the digital push in India has significantly reduced the obstacles to starting a business. And that, I think, has led to a lot of increase in the number of women entrepreneurs seizing that opportunity to get into ventures and expanding their businesses.
Absolutely, Rashmi. I think Rich also is doing a lot of good work in this space. So thank you and your take for that. Moving to Deepthi. Deepthi, would you like to answer that question for our audience today?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had some brilliant experts who already spoke before me, and we had a nice, a lot of insights that they're given. So one thing I'd like to say is that digital innovation is not something just for women. It's very ungendered. I think that is the first thing women entrepreneurs themselves. I know I sit on a platform called VHub, but the reason we created this platform is that more and more entrepreneurs who happen to be women stop thinking themselves as women entrepreneurs. Because first thing is money obviously has no gender. Then obviously profits have no gender. So why are we like genderizing entrepreneurship so much, right? So that is the first thing. Second thing also is that whichever sector we are in, I think there is no other alternative but to treat the entire world as a market. And I think whatever Rashmi spoke about is a proof of the fact that, now markets don't have boundaries anymore. And the third important thing that would like to touch upon is that while obviously we know the opportunity is big, how do these entrepreneurs actually leverage those? Number one is it's not enough to just have a website, right? You need to make sure you are creating the entire backend operations as well to be able to achieve the or cater to the market that they're creating. The second thing also is that once you are doing this entire digital innovation or whatever else, make sure you're clear about what it means. The reason I say that is because we have a lot of startups which obviously may or may not have anything to do with, let's say, AI or whatever, but they come in and say that we are using AI, VR, MR, everything. So the point is they need to be better prepared in understanding what this digital innovation means for them in their sector. And the third thing and most important thing is to make sure that, you are able to like travel and take a risk. The reason I say this is because not everything is going to come to you. You need to make sure that, you are working with platforms like GlobalLinker and, FTCCI and so much more, and follow guidance. Unless you do that, it's not going to, whatever digital innovation you try to do or whatever things you do, unless you are willing to take the risk and be ready to be coachable, it's not going to be working at all. So that is something I'd like to add to the very.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Deepthi. I think one takeaway for all of us here from your point was that money and profits have no gender. So thank you for that one. Rama ma'am, I know you're on the move, but thank you for joining in today. And I'd like to ask you the same question. All our members today would want to know, what does digital innovation really mean for a woman's entrepreneur to actually grow?
My experience, I would like to share with all of you. See, we need to digitalize, particularly so for women entrepreneurs, because automatically ease of doing business happens once you digitalize. For example, now today many of our entrepreneurs are able to sell through e-commerce, and their accounting system has been adopted by the software available. So it is something, digitalization happened, and they are able to save also cost effectively. They are able to get into production. So what I mean is technology upgradation need to happen, particularly for women entrepreneurs, because total banking today is digitalized, and all our resources, even wherever we are, we need to bridge with the digital promotion. So this is the aspect which is important particularly, but women need a lot of training in this aspect, and we need to reach to the grassroots level with proper skilling, because they need to understand how it can be applicable. Because recently I happened to be with RBIH, that is Reserve Bank Innovation Hub, where they are focusing on village level entrepreneurs, where they can adopt to digitalization, so that business happens for them much easier. So I think there are so many areas where women can penetrate by providing these services also. Adopting these digital services and getting into business is also another angle where we can women entrepreneurs can be encouraged, like fintech, like agri-tech, like all these, is with the digitalization. So there's great opportunity opening up for us. So let us look at as an opportunity. And I think even we need to convert our business into technology related business here afterwards to be in the competitive world. We have to convert. There's no other option. So that's my way of looking at it. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. But I think all four of you experts in your own field, I think we at GlobalLinker echo the same point that irrespective of which function, which domain, where you are in your business journey, digital innovation is the key for you to actually move forward in totally leaps and bounds. So moving to the next question, Deepthi, I'd like to ask you first. What, according to you, is the major internal or let's say even an external barrier for women today to kind of sustain or even grow out of this? So would you suggest how they could kind of overcome any barriers that they do have today? Okay, I think possibly Deepthi is facing some issues. Rashmi, would you like to take a chance on that?
Sure. I think there are several barriers, unfortunately, both external and internal, that hinder the ability of women entrepreneurs to sustain or grow their businesses. I think the most important one is the inherent bias that women entrepreneurs face when they go out to talk about their businesses or present their startups, or even when trying to raise funds. Traditionally, those things are not seen to be associated with women in general. even in the most forward-looking startup ecosystems in the West, women entrepreneurs struggle to get funding that is at par with the male founders. So I think that is one of the most important barriers that I can see. Another significant barrier is, I think, the lack of role models. And when I say role models, I mean role models that women like you and me can identify with. Role models that a young girl in a village from a tier 2 or tier 3 city can identify with, and not role models that seem completely out of league or out of reach. So what happens is, when there are not enough role models, women entrepreneurs have limited access to mentors who can provide guidance, support, or inspiration. And in fact, we have faced this challenge ourselves when we were trying to onboard mentors and advisors for our own programs at Rich. And lastly, I think the universal problem that we all know is that women have this disproportionate burden of caregiving and household responsibilities, which I don't have to talk about at length. We all know about that. It makes it very difficult and challenging to devote enough time and energy for her businesses. And I think there are many ways and many aspects to overcome this, but I would like to highlight one important point is that can help in solving this issue to some extent, is to showcase the local role models, celebrate their successes, promote them, and bring them to the forefront so that it acts as an inspiration for many others to follow. So if I have to give you an example, in our research institutions in Hyderabad alone, there are so many top-class women scientists working on some cutting-edge research. But how many of us know about them? How many of us see them on social media? Hardly any. So if I see somebody from my neighborhood, from my kind of a background, achieve success, I'm bound to feel that, hey, if she can do it, I can do it too. So we need to showcase, to promote those kind of role models. And I think that is one important aspect. This, I think, would create a network effect that will go a long way in overcoming these barriers.
Point on, Rashmi. I think very well taken, and also explained so nicely that we don't really need to talk about all the challenges that happen at home, but it's honestly to just go out there. So thank you for your take on that, Rashmi. Khyati, would you want to express about what are the kind of challenges that women entrepreneurs face and how can they overcome them?
So I think we all are going to echo each other's feelings. So definitely, I think the main thing is a change of the mindset of the society. Whether you belong to a rural background, a semi-rural, or an urban, whether it's rural and you have the father, or, you talk about urban and probably you have a male boss. I think everywhere, I think it's the same. The mindset needs to be, I think, changed for her to break the glass ceiling. Let's take an example of 100 companies. You have 100 companies which are headed by men, and then you have 10, the statistic says that, 10 of them are successful. You again have 100 companies led by women, and probably the statistic says that 20 of those companies are successful. But you still, towards the end, you don't see, probably you just see a meager number in this. And why? Because the volume is less. We don't have so many women taking up the lead positions, or many more entrepreneurs coming up. That's one. Second, also somewhere we also deal from FTCCI with a lot of manufacturing sector, and also sometimes we really feel that, if you ask any manufacturing company how many of the women are working in the shop floor or in the in the board, and you don't see so many of them. And probably I think also one thing which probably the government can do is also incentivize those organizations who have more women in the workforce. So I think that's also one thing but definitely a change in the mindset, whether it's socially, culturally, politically, economically, you name it. I think we are reaching there, but probably it may take us many years, 50, 60 years from now that we're talking about to reach there. Even if we are 50% here in the planet, we still have a long way to go.
Absolutely. And just echoing what you and Rashmi said. So in some forms, given that you said a lot of aspects like financially, economically, mentally, physically, all angles, we also, like Rashmi said, need somebody to look up to whom we can relate to as a mentor. And therefore, I think all of us today are also trying to help all the women entrepreneurs who joined today. In fact, after the session also, we'll invite some of these women entrepreneurs to personally stay in touch with you all on the GlobalLinker platform to ask any kind of questions, consider you as a role model and actually build on that. So Deepthi, would you like to take it on from here? So what are the challenges that you think, internal or external, any barriers that women face today, and how do you really overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, Khyati and Rashmi have already spoken about it. So they have spoken a lot about, like, the real situation that is. But one of the biggest challenges, I think, which actually exists is there is a lack of one place where they can get the end-to-end support. The reason I highlight that fact is, let's say somebody says, I'm going to skill you. Somebody else says, I'm going to do something else. Somebody else says something else. Somebody else says something else. So the issue is that an entrepreneur, or male, female, whoever, wants to work on their innovation and entrepreneurial journey. Somewhere the number of barriers that are there due to the processes that exist for registering or anything else at all become a huge challenge. I think the first thing we are looking at in the government itself is how, and we just recently announced, is how we become a one-stop platform, wherein an entrepreneur can come in with an idea and walk out with an entire product itself without having to step into 20 different organizational departments, so many things that happen, right? So we are trying to make sure, we lower those barriers to entry of sorts. That is the first thing. The second thing also is that while all these challenges that are there exist, a lot of times, I think we do not speak enough about opportunities. I think it becomes our job, like, let's say all of our job, who have actually been, we are here because of all the challenges that were faced by the generation prior, right? So I think it'll also help a lot of the, people or the entrepreneurs that are here. If we talk a lot more about opportunities, people who have a little bit of a sphere of influence, if we start talking more about the opportunities that are available, I think that will also be very, very helpful. Otherwise, if we keep on talking about challenges, we are creating more of a fear of sorts in people as well, be it male or female entrepreneurs. And the third important barrier is that before, like, let's say most times it happens more in the case of women, is that before we start, we always think of, like, we need to convince 1,000 people about why we want to start something. So the biggest thing that actually I think we can do is make sure that, if we are convinced we want to do something, if we get started, we have so many platforms, right? Which is there, FTCCI is there, ALEAP is there, so many are there. And we have obviously is going to be an aggregator for everything. Reach out to any of us first. But before you reach out, if you have all these internal things about, like, what will my uncle's third cousin or 50th aunt or whatever will say, instead of talking about those, instead of looking at and reason for why not to do, if you can actually figure out that, okay, I have this wonderful platform that we've created, GlobalLinker is there, so much is there. If I have so much, how do I actually become successful? Because, once women is or an entrepreneur is successful, nothing speaks like success, right? So I think we should also focus a lot more on being more successful, and platforms like we exist to make sure that we can solve all the other excuse reasons as well. We can do counseling also if you want. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Deepthi. So I think I can't agree more when you said that VHub is a one-stop shop for everything that a woman entrepreneur needs. In fact, at GlobalLinker also, we look at that in terms of a digital aspect. So right from whether somebody is looking to create their online store, or they're looking at creating, let's say, a digitized B2B supply chain. So all aspects we are trying to help them so that they don't have to go to various different angles. So thank you, Deepthi, on that. Rama ma'am, would you like to take on that question? What are the kind of challenges or barriers that women entrepreneurs face today, and how do they really overcome them? And I think Deepthi mentioned a very nice point, that it's important we focus on the positive aspects though.
Yeah. I think, Malvika, what I want to say is women are born entrepreneurs, according to me. The positive side of taking it is we often see in colleges also, the number of women graduating from engineering is more, like even from various institutions. Today, we see a lot of graduates coming out of universities and colleges. But what is happening to this educated youngsters? Just we need to check on what is happening, because many of them may not get into jobs also. The reason what I feel is not because there are barriers, or not because there are so many issues like avenues are not there, or the ecosystem is not there, but it's only women herself. She feels she's more responsible, and she takes a role like, I need to take care of my family. I need to take care of my home. I need to take care of my in-laws. This is what do you say, cultural, or a woman is born very sympathetic and empathetic character. We take any disaster, you take it on your shoulders. Responsibilities, you take it. So what happens in the context, you are lost. Your career is lost. I have seen many of them, they can become leaders, but they prefer to stay back and make a husband become a leader. Why? Because it comes automatically to women to sacrifice, and when it comes to taking care, they stand in, they want to support the whole family. That's the reason, because we are brought up like that, and we are made of different stuff. I don't think there are money. If you are make up your mind, you want to become something, nobody can stop you. But who is stopping you? Your own self. That is, we create our own way, road map or anything, down the line. If you see the scientist or anything, recently I happened to discuss with one doctor. She said, her husband is a cardiologist. She preferred her husband to get into a job, and she wants to take care of her children. So both are in a very big, educated people, but still she sacrificed. That's the nature of women. We can't help it. And looking at, entrepreneurship, women are in unorganized sector. They have been entrepreneurs, may not be counted with because we lose on them because they are from unorganized sector. They are the bread and earners. So we can't say that if given a chance, an opportunity, probably the modern woman, maybe she may not become a very into the high position, but she's capable of handling anything given to her. There are issues and barriers. I don't say the whole ecosystem is very. I came back to my office.
Sure, thank you on that, Rama ma'am. Moving to the next question fairly quickly, and Deepthi, it'd be nice to start off with you. I wanted to ask, so usually running a business is a very isolating experience. It's a very daunting experience. You feel very lonely. So what is it that you think that an ecosystem can really help? If you can possibly give an example of, let's say, a live case study as well of any woman entrepreneur who could actually make a difference.
I think you just wanted me to answer this to start with, to do my own product. I think to clear this isolation is why we created VHub, I think. So the reason again, sorry to make it a little bit funny, but absolutely right. It is not just to be a women entrepreneur, but any entrepreneurship is it's a very interestingly isolating experience. And it's also a lot of fun. And all you need at any different point in your journey is somebody to talk to, be your sounding board, your devil's critic, your everything, right? So I think that is something that we all need in our lives, be it a professional, an entrepreneur, whatever else, right? So that is one. So when it comes to giving you a live example, so very simply, we have all these frontline workers, right? I think we have a lot of ASHA workers, about 27,000 of them in the state. So when an opportunity or an opportunity was given for our entrepreneurs to design, what then happened is that we had one entrepreneur come in and say that I want to design the sarees. Then there was this, she's from Hyderabad, she's designed for celebrities and so much more, right? She's like this big shot designer, but she wanted to kind of make sure that she was able to do something for society in her way by designing and manufacturing for at a very low cost for all the ASHA workers who did so much during the pandemic. And once that was done, then we thought we should, then she was like, why don't we also design a blouse and make sure that one of the entrepreneurs from the WeHub ecosystem, who is from a tier 2 place, actually does this, right? So we have a lady called Lata, who is from Nizamabad, and she did about 10,000 blouses. So it was 2 sarees each, right? So there were 54,000 blouses that need to be done. So this lady Lata, who is barely educated, she actually did about 20,000 blouses out of the 54,000 order. And the way she did it is also very interesting. She actually employs 100 women under her, and she has actually trained them and given them machines. This lady who's not educated, has given work from home options for people in her own community. And the reason I'm telling you this entire value chain is because we glamorize a lot of things by saying, yeah, we need to have more networking sessions and all that stuff. It is all good, right? You need to sit down, talk, and have these conversations. But also, what happens is this complementary and creating this own whole supply chain ecosystem itself is also very motivating, because there is somebody who's walked that journey no more than 2 years ago, has been through the same path. So that kind of mentorship between entrepreneurs also really, really helps. And I think that is something that we all need to be part of an ecosystem. Let it be an incubator, you can be any part of anything, but make sure that you are part of something where even though you may not agree with everything, you will get to learn a new perspective, and make sure that you'll be a much richer entrepreneur at the end of the day. Yeah.
Wow, that was truly an inspiring one. And I think there are many case studies like that. It's just that they don't come into the light most times. But
Malvika, the reason I could only tell one story is because we only have 4 to 5. But if you want, we can keep going. I'm just saying. We have more than, I think, if we just look at, and we have only been in existence for 5 years, right? Rama ma'am has been working for 30 years. She'll have a lot more. But for us, within 5 years, if we could create more than, I think, 3,200 entrepreneurs. So we easily have about 3,000 stories to talk about. So I can only imagine the collective strength of all the stories that are waiting to be taken up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rashmi, what would you like to say on this?
Yeah, I would just like to add that being part of any ecosystem that nurtures growth is critical for the success of any business, be it a man or a woman. But specifically for women entrepreneurs, because they face unique challenges. So something as basic as, being aware of all the opportunities that are available is possible only if you are a part of the ecosystem. And that ecosystem then fosters collaboration, and it provides a safe space for women, to share their experiences, learn from each other, and receive also support from a community which has a like-minded individuals. And I think, of course, like you said, running a business can be an isolating experience, whether it's a man or a woman. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey, and therefore having a network of peers, mentors, or supporters, they can provide the much needed guidance, support, and inspiration, and especially emotional support when things are not going really well.
Absolutely, Rashmi. Thanks for that. Rama ma'am, what about you? You almost run your organization as a family of all the women working together and helping all the entrepreneurs as well. So what's your take on that? Given that it's a very lonely experience, how do you make them feel a part of your family?
My experience, I just started the organization alone only, but with 4 or 5 people together, we thought, coming together is important to resolve various issues which women entrepreneurs alone they face. So this aspect of coming together is very important. Like the whole ecosystem today existing, it works on I mean, we need to help each other. Even networking of organizations should happen to support the women entrepreneurs concept also. Because I may have some strength, Deepthi may have something else, and even FICCI and other organizations will have. But coming together is very important to build up and wonderful organizations. And women also, the risk taking will become a minimum if they network and if they jointly do enterprise creation done jointly. Like I go back to the cooperative movement. In fact, I advise then come together and start an enterprise. Your risk is minimum. 4-5 people together, if they start, the risk is minimum and they share the workload. It is more suitable for women. So my suggestion is don't feel that when you create an enterprise, share it with your friends. Moving towards enterprise, we used to feel that I'm the boss, I'm the person who can handle everything. But today it's not like this. You have to get an investor, you have to share your profit, you have to get into a stock exchange. All these things are, say you can't run your business alone. You have to share. So this aspect of sharing is very important for growth today. Even the ecosystem is important. Even the, ownership of the enterprise. Look at various private limited partnerships, and also getting into cooperatives is good for women. It's not a proprietary concern. So better done, coming, all your friends together. If you have an idea, you just develop and get into the business. You have more access to success. And you can even get into scalability. Like example I can give here is we had 7 entrepreneurs jointly running a socks cluster. They can send a container load of socks to the international market. If alone, its risk is more, and our support is also less. So these things will not happen, but jointly it can happen. So even the organizations, I may have technology, I may have industrial parks. I need to collaborate with the startups and incubation centers who are around us, like we have and FICCI and other organizations. We will find strength in each other and try to promote women entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, Rama ma'am. I think adding on to that, given that you all have already mentioned a lot of valuable insights for our members, one thing I personally feel at GlobalLinker, it's not just about feeling lonely in terms of your operations, but if you don't have the right, let's say, products, tools, then it's quite a daunting experience. So we've personally tried to actually make a digital catalog. So even once you're ready with your business, you need to tell all of them out there that I'm ready, I'm now serviceable, I'm now online. So that's one thing we are trying to promote in terms of digital and innovation and business growth. So Khyati, would you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so I would say all from experience. So at the FTCCI, we have 20 expert committees, right from GST to energy to agro, food product, and the exports and international trade. So we've like, we organize, let's say through this expert committee, almost, annually 100+ activities in a year. And how many women actually participate in those activities, whether it's an awareness workshop or whether it's on labor law or on taxation or, on customs related issues or a simple, awareness given by Ministry of MSME or Commerce and Industry. So of course, if we take the statistics again from FTCCI point of view, we see 20%, 25% participating in that. So of course, I think an ecosystem. So we are ready to give that kind of a platform or an ecosystem, but then, whether through GlobalLinker platform or, even the state government or the central government also have been very aggressive about this. So I think through all this platform, we can urge them to participate as much as possible to benefit from the networking, from the connection. And again, from the MSME or the big companies point of view, we've also seen that also one, probably of course they are in an isolation stage, but they're also worried about the decisions and the consequences thereon. And so you take example of America or European, where they have tab, it's like the alternative board, where the like-minded come together to discuss on the issues, challenges, or share some of the best practices. Of course, I'm not saying, 100 crore company can talk to an entrepreneur, but then it's always nice to form those kind of bonding, those kind of clubs, CEO clubs, or those kind of groups that can actually help each other, empower each other to grow. It's one, of course, networking is one, but I think there's also always a dilemma of making wrong decision, wrong step in your business, whether it comes to finance, whether it comes to anything, brand positioning. So I think those are some parameters where, as an industry body, we are trying to help them in whichever way possible, whether it's forming a CEO forum or just a startup. We also conduct a lot of export-import programs, and we've seen so many success stories where, we have seen women entrepreneurs starting to sell online, also started to export. So there are avenues, but then of course, through this platform, I would urge each one of them to join one of the platforms so that you can start benefiting. It's not always about the business, but it's more about the networking and sharing of best practices.
Absolutely, Khyati. And given that you mentioned a lot about exports, I thought I'll tell the audience one more platform that they can make the most of which is called a very unique portal. Actually, it's called Indian Business Portal. It's made by the Federation of Indian Export Organizations in collaboration with GlobalLinker, where it's almost like a trade hub connecting Indian sellers with foreign buyers. So the idea is to start showcasing all the specialities of India to prospective various other foreign country buyers. So moving to the last question before we actually understand a little about each of your organizations and the kind of work that you're doing, I'd just like to ask you all, what are the top 3 skills that women need to scale as well as to grow? So Rashmi, if you can start on that.
Okay, so I would rate networking skills as the most crucial and critical for scaling and business, because we've seen that even a very small casual conversations can open up opportunities, and that can work wonders for a business. So I think networking skills. Second, I would say financial management skills. Women, I think, need to develop financial literacy, because most of the women, even if educated, they are a little hesitant to venture into that area. So I think women entrepreneurs should acquire skills to create and manage budgets, forecast their cash flows, analyze to some extent the financial statements, and also acquire skills on how to raise funding. I think understanding these financial management can help these entrepreneurs make better and informed decisions. And I think the last but not the least is branding skills. Though it may have a little negative connotation to it, I think most women, I think, are hesitant to showcase their work or even talk about their achievements. And most of them undermine their own efforts and go on to heap praises on their families from whom they have received support for the work they are doing. So I think women need to develop skills in branding and showcasing their products, be it on social media, be it at networking events, or even social gatherings. And I think women have a natural tendency to bond and empathize. So they should leverage these traits. And through that, I think they should be able to create compelling messages which will help them reach their target customers effectively. So those are the 3 things I would like to highlight as the skills that women should try to acquire.
Thank you, Rashmi. I think very relevant and apt. I think we all started smiling on your third point. So given that we all feel that branding is something that women should go out there, talk about what is it that you're doing, market yourself in the right way. So Rama ma'am, would you want to take on top 3 skills that you think any woman should have?
I think whatever she's doing, she needs to be the decision maker. She should have that power to make a decision. That's very important for any type of activity she takes up. And pursuing that and staying, for that, she needs a lot of skills, as Rashmi said. The skills are, most of our women entrepreneurs, they have a lot of perseverance, patience, and hardworking nature. There's no dearth, but still, staying afloat. Like whenever there's a crisis and all that, they try to, take over the leadership, but it's not in the crisis, everywhere in life, you need to become a leader. The decision has to be yours. That kind of skill is very much required for this modern women, Otherwise, life is not that easy. I feel wherever they are, even in a job position or even as an entrepreneur, take control over your life is most important thing which they have to adopt to become successful.
Sure, thank you for that. I think a lot of positive reinforcement and positive thoughts here. Khyati, would you want to mention the top 3 skills?
I think it's going to be common. Like I thought maybe I'll add to what both of them have said. I think one also is the ability to articulate the vision of your company towards from top to bottom pyramid, so that everybody is in sync. A lot of times we have a lot of ideas and, we all want to work towards it, but then it's always a challenge to actually align everyone with that same vision of the company or, as an entrepreneur. So that's one. And of course, entrepreneurial skills is something which, even at FTCCI, when I take interviews day and night out, I always tell them that it's not just, if you're going to be an entrepreneur or going to start your own company, you need these skills. I think each one of us needs that entrepreneurial skill to actually identify the opportunity that is there for either your product, service, or the organization that you work for. So that's definitely important. And I think also that with the new technology and innovation that's all in the market, I think it's very, very important to, know what are the kind of skill sets, whether it's to do with upskilling or reskilling, but I think it's an ongoing process, So yeah, these are the 3 that I may want to highlight.
Absolutely, and I think FTCCI is doing a great job at that, having an upskilling place or a training place in your office itself. That's a very nice initiative. Deepthi, what are your thoughts on this? What are the top 3 skills?
Number 1 skill actually is to overcome. Number 1 thing is that I think you should be extremely coachable. That is the first thing, I think. Instead of saying that, we're doing something and if you're too rigid, then obviously I think that is not going to work out. The second thing also is that consistency of work. And if you try to do too many things at once, or you try to go to too many places at once for the same thing, then you will get contrasting advice and that will not be good. So you might want to choose your kind of support that you value and stick with it. And the third and most important thing is that always keep an eye out for your competitors, right? And your competitors will keep changing as you keep scaling. So I think the third thing also is that you need to be understanding of what it is that your competitors are doing, or how the landscape itself is changing, so that you can always stay relevant. And as Khyati already spoke about, like upskilling and so much more. We need to make sure, as an entrepreneur, you're always aware of what is happening and stay current and stay relevant and continue to scale.
Absolutely. I think, first of all of you have given such wonderful insights and proved to be mentors to our audience today. Again, if anybody would like to ask any questions to any of our panelists, you can drop in a message on GlobalLinker and we'll have it answered by all of them. Again, let's just last take on, given that we have 5 minutes left. Deepthi, if we can start with you, tell us a little about what WeHub is actually doing. What is the kind of work? And I saw a question there. Is it really restricted only to Telangana? Okay, we'll allow her a minute or so. Rashmi, would you want to take on about Rich? What is it that you all are doing in Hyderabad?
Sure. So RICH is one of the ecosystem enablers of the Telangana government. RICH, as we call it, Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. What we do is we act as a facilitator between various entities who are working in the research and innovation space to bring them together, to help them collaborate more, network more, and in the process, lead to an effective innovation ecosystem. So we started in 2017 when the state government thought that there has to be an entity which will act as a bridge between these various stakeholders that are working in the research and innovation space, and that is how RICH was started. So in the process, we work with startups, we work with research and academic institutions, industry, NGOs, and of course, government. And we operate in 3 sectors: food and agriculture, life sciences, and sustainability. And in each of these 3 sectors, we primarily do 3 things. We work with startups extensively, help them with different kinds of avenues that are available to scale their journey. We do capacity building exercises wherever we find gap in the innovation ecosystem. And lastly, we work on multidisciplinary projects. Basically, we identify some complex problem which is either important to the state or to the country as a whole, and try to bring in various stakeholders, multidisciplinary stakeholders, to solve that problem, which is a problem that cannot be solved by any one entity. So in a gist, we act as a facilitator and enabler of the innovation ecosystem.
Thank you, Rashmi, for that. And I saw a question there about how can we really join a platform like this. In fact, I'd like to tell all the speakers here today, if you can have your team members on the GlobalLinker platform assist these women entrepreneurs in getting onboarded into each of your organizations, then that will be really nice. Again, you can just go onto the GlobalLinker platform and interact with all these different organizations. Rama ma'am, would you like to talk a little about ALEAP and the kind of work that you're doing with women at the prime focus?
Thank you. I think, we are a 29-year-old organization focusing on development of women entrepreneurship. We have the total ecosystem. It starts with training, then providing infrastructure, incubation, and also marketing. We also partner with the GlobalLinkers for e-commerce platform. We are also collaborating with various organizations in creating a social impact in reaching to the villages. We are partnering with the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology in providing startup grant, particularly focusing on women entrepreneurs. And also we are incubation with Niti Aayog under Atul Incubation Mission as an existing incubator. And also SISF and all these startups, you have an idea, we try to promote. We give a reservation of 25% to men, but 75% is to women in our incubation. So that's how we create that ecosystem. And marketing is what we are focusing now. We want to provide an e-commerce with the ONDC registration. We are collaborate with GlobalLinkers and other GEM and other organizations also. This is my idea of providing. I mean, if you give this kind of services to women entrepreneurs, they have a very great role to play, and the scalability and sustainability is possible to reach to the global markets. So with this idea, we have created the total ecosystem for women entrepreneurs.
That's wonderful, Rama ma'am. And given that you spoke a little about ONDC, I'd like to tell the members here, ONDC is Open Network for Digital Commerce, and it's exactly what UPI has done for digital payments. ONDC aims to do that for digital commerce. So if anybody is actually interested to join the ONDC network, GlobalLinker is already ONDC compliant. You can actually create your digital catalog and have it linked to the ONDC network, so that it's a real game changer in actually getting your products showcased to prospect customers. Khyati, we'd like to know a little about FTCCI and the kind of work that you're doing.
Yeah, so FTCCI, I think everyone would know it as PAPC because it's at PAPC mark, but FTCCI is a 105-year young, I can say, apex chamber in the state of Telangana. Of course, in 2018, we actually bifurcated, and now we are the Federation of Telangana Chamber. And of course, we have our another chamber, which is at Andhra Pradesh. And our job is to help the MSMEs, the entrepreneurs, the big companies with regard to policy advocacy, with regard to creating as much of awareness on the new policy that's come in the market. Our job is to, give them as many platforms as possible for networking, for doing business. So like any other chamber, I think we work through our 20 expert committees, right from taxation, I had mentioned, to energy, to food processing, to agro, to customs, to international trade. So we have different expert committees, and again the chair, co-chair and the committee members are directly from the industry, who meet once in a month to discuss on what are the ongoing issues and what is it that they would like to represent to the government. So that's where the chairs are working. But in the secretariat, we are again, I would especially like to mention that, of course, the CEO is a woman, the deputy CEO is a woman in my organization, the secretaries. So we are like 60% women-led federation. And of course, in the head table, we've never had any chairperson, but I'm sure that day will also come soon. So we've taken like so many initiatives. We've recently inaugurated our FTCCI Pokarna Skill Center with 2 proper classrooms where we want to give as many upskilling, reskilling training program again for the manufacturing sector. Our work also was recognized by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So we've been doing a lot of programs on the export and import management side. And we have a lot of these big mega companies, like recently we have the VST, the Suvain Trust and Rodla, and those have come forward to do a lot of training programs for women. So now from last year, we've gone to district level. So we've done in Khammam, in Warangal, in Nizamabad, now we're doing in Medak. So we're trying to actually do a proper training and development program again, more to do with their livelihoods, to empower them. So, I mean, I can't tell you 105 years journey in a nutshell, but yes, we are here, we are here for MSMEs, for startup, for entrepreneurs, and even the big companies which use our services, such as issuance of certificate of origin. So we are catering to 25,000 businesses today at this stage while I speak to you.
That's some amazing work that you're doing there, Khyati. Deepthi, do we have you back? The audience would like to know a little about VHub as well.
Yes, I'm back. And to start out with, VHub is a Government of Telangana incubator. And our focus is on making sure that we work with women entrepreneurs across sector, scale, and geography. And I mean, Rama ma'am has explained, I think Khyati, everybody's explained. So we are an aggregator platform of sorts. So what we do is that, we make sure that we can we do a lot of incubation. We have about 5,400 women entrepreneurs that are engaged with us. We do a lot of access to credit. We've done more than 158 crores in the past 5 years. And we also do a lot of work in building the ecosystem. I know ecosystem is thrown around very, very loosely. Everybody's like an ecosystem is something that, we are using it in a very loose term. But one of the things we are doing is we are creating a small support network for every entrepreneur with all the things that she needs at any stage of her journey. So that is something that we are working on quite actively. And as a government of Telangana entity, we just do not work with entrepreneurs in Telangana, but we work with entrepreneurs across the country and the world as well. And the next thing we do quite well is we also do a lot of decentralized work. So to get support from VHub, you don't have to come to Hyderabad for everything. We have traveled more than 84,000 kilometers in the state in the past 5 years. So we work on a very decentralized model where we go where the entrepreneur is instead of having them over for 3-4 day sessions. So what we do is we work with them where they are. We understand where the entrepreneur is. We do the work that she needs. And whenever there is an opportunity for them to network and connect, we make sure that, there is prior intimation for them and they can come here and get all their work, whatever is there, done with very little, waste of time of sorts. So broadly, that's it. And if there are any questions, Malvika, you know how to reach us. And if you can also put it out on the thing, it'll be very, very good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Deepthi, for that. In fact, thank you all the panelists today for joining in, taking out time out of your busy schedules and helping our women entrepreneurs. And like I said, if anybody still has a question, given that we've run out of time, you can definitely post it on the GlobalLinker network and either of the panelists will definitely answer back. So thank you everybody for joining in, and thank you again to all the different organizations, VHub, RICH, FTCCI, ALEAP, and of course GlobalLinker, to actually come together and make this session a success for all the women entrepreneurs today. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.